Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you today for a few minutes about where we are with the Trump campaign in terms of the Pennsylvania Patriot Coalition, where we stand on the election, and what I think, from my perspective, your focus needs to be. So, as I think you should be aware, for some time now, the Pennsylvania Patriot Coalition, sort of the confederation of patriot groups across the state, has been lashed up directly with the Trump campaign to work with them statewide to get Donald Trump elected. That's moving along everywhere without bumps in the road. No, in some places better than others, without question. Do we still have frustrations? Yeah, and I got news for you, by the way. We're never going to iron out all of those frustrations and resolve all of them before Election Day. So, in that regard, as I keep saying to people, and I say to everybody that I'm talking to on the phone, email, on the coalition Telegram channel, etc., as you run into roadblocks, you run into issues, feel free to bring them directly to me, because I'm talking to the top of the campaign in the state multiple times every day, literally, in addition to a whole bunch of other points of contact with the campaign. So I will do everything possible to resolve those and get things moving more smoothly. But the bottom line is, this is where we are. This is the team we got. This is the structure we've got. This is how we're going to war, how we're already at war, people. So you got to make it work, and we got to do the best we can. We do not have the option for walking off the field, and we do not have the option for just saying, let me know when it's perfect and then I'll participate. So that's bedrock. Get on the field, get in the game. There are, at this stage, two keys to winning Pennsylvania for Donald Trump. Two things. We're down to tactics. We're down to how we win the game. We're on the field. We're in the middle of the game. There are two things. First, turnout. Those folks who already support Donald Trump, already support the America First movement, who are already MAGA, who are already patriots, pick your phraseology, I don't care. Those people who already support this agenda need to register and they need to vote. Yeah, I get it. That sounds like, wow, thanks, Sam. That was a genius suggestion. This is massive. This is massive. In many ways, this is actually the whole game. Let me use as an example gun owners. In Pennsylvania, over 500,000 gun owners aren't even registered to vote. In excess of 500,000 Second Amendment gun-carrying Americans who are all about the Second Amendment and keeping the government away from their guns and resisting all of these mad agendas about outlawing AR-15s, yada, yada. Over 500,000 of those folks who are probably online posting memes, texting on Facebook, on Twitter all day, worried about what Joe and Kamala are going to do to them. Over 500,000 of them haven't even bothered to register. Forget about how many of them vote. We got 500,000 folks out there. Now, even with the numbers from the 2020 election, leaving aside all of the madness, the illegality, the fraud, when it was all done and the dust settled, the margin of victory in Pennsylvania, even with those numbers, was like 84,000 people. You got 500,000 folks who are presumably virtually all Trump supporters, given that they're gun owners, who haven't even bothered to get in the game. And I could go issue by issue. We could talk about Christians, evangelicals in particular, etc. What we got is a whole bunch of folks worried sick, fed up with this Biden-Harris agenda, sick of all of this garbage, who want it to go away, want Donald Trump in the White House, but aren't even bothering to participate. We got to change that. You got to change that. And I got news for you. You're not going to change it by sitting there staring at your computer screen and just talking to people online. You're actually going to have to get up and engage with people, find out whether they're registered. Look, we have put out on the Facebook page for the Pennsylvania Patriot Coalition multiple times a series of simple flyers. These were all made very simple, black and white, one page for a reason. So every person can print them off cheaply at home, print them off super cheaply at a local, Kinko's equivalent place, any kind of place where you got copy machines, printers. These things cost nothing to print. That's why they were made black and white and kept very simple, because as soon as you go into fancy paper and colors, the printing costs become prohibitive. So every single person listening to this can print off a whole stack of those and take them down to every gun shop within driving distance of your house, because every gun shop in Pennsylvania ought to have a stack of these things on the counter. The flyer lists the issues, and the flyer has a QR code. And when you scan that, when you look at that with your camera, if you look at the QR code through the camera on your cell phone, I'm trying to phrase this for those that have never actually done this, you will see that it gives you an option to just touch on the address for a website. And in this case, that QR code will take you directly to the Pennsylvania voter registration site. You don't have to go search for it, do anything else. You point your frigging iPhone at that QR code and you're there. So it deliberately designed to be super simple, easy to distribute. Every outdoor shop, at every gun range, every archery range in the state of Pennsylvania ought to have stacks of those. By the way, there are flyers like that for several other issues with the same exact goal. Simple to print, simple to distribute. You can get up, print off 100 of those things, and get out the door and be making a difference right now. We must get the people who already agree with us to participate. Second piece of this puzzle is to get as many of the undecided folks to vote on our side as we possibly can. Those folks who are in the middle, who quite frankly probably hate both political parties, both major political parties, get them to come over and vote for Donald Trump. And here's my advice on that. Don't talk ideology with them. There are many ideological components to what's going on in this country. You know that, I know that, we understand that. That's not how you're going to get that person in the middle to come over and vote for you. Not by talking about Marxist, Leninist ideology or any of these abstracts. You talk to them about what they call in politics kitchen table issues. The kids are in bed, it's late at night, mom and dad are at the kitchen table trying to balance the checkbook. In a very troubled world, what are they talking about? Inflation, the cost of food, the cost of housing, the fact that they're afraid to take mass transit to go to work, who got carjacked, robberies, stores closing downtown. They're talking about inflation. They're talking about the economy. They're talking about crime. Therefore, they're talking about the border, talking about the fact that they can't get any, dad's a contractor and he can't get any work because the illegals who will work off the books are taking jobs away. Brass tacks, real world things don't depend at all on ideology. Is ideology involved? Is that why we got here? Of course it is. But that is not the way you are presenting it to them. And if you're talking about things like Title IX and girls' sports and that so forth, again, To the extent you're talking about it, you make it concrete, real world, and practical. Okay? You start talking abstractions, you have lost these folks who are in the middle who are still undecided. You start talking about the fact that their teenage daughter, for real, under Title IX, will be compelled to shower with boys, will lose her place on the basketball team to a guy who announced this morning he's now a girl. You got to make it real. You got to make it concrete. Everybody's driving, trying to fill up a truck, trying to fill up a car. Everybody's trying to figure out how to pay the grocery bill. Everybody's living in fear of a major appliance breaking down because the medium amount of savings that Americans have now is $400 on hand. That's what they got in a savings account. A vast number of Americans do not have any money in savings at all. They're literally putting everything on credit cards and barely able to keep up with minimum payments. That's the real world for Americans. Ronald Reagan used to say, you ask yourself one critical question. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? That's his question going into a presidential. That's the way you need to look at this when you're talking to undecided people. All right, bottom line. Everybody's got to get off the sideline. Okay, you're done watching this video. Get out from in front of your computer and go talk to somebody. Go find somebody who's undecided and convince them to vote Donald Trump. Go talk to your friends and find out how many of those people are not even registered to vote, and then change that. Okay? All right, I've blathered long enough. I'm telling you to get out from in front of the computer, and I won't shut up. Guys, have a good day. I will talk to you very soon.